Phoenix Books presents Lost Christianity, a journey of rediscovery, written and performed by Jacob Needleman. This performance is copyright 2019 Phoenix Books. It has been digitally remastered from the original 1996 Dove audio sound recording.
The impulse to write this book first arose a number of years ago when I was interviewing Christian and Jewish clergymen about the challenge of the new religions. At that time, the turning toward the teachings of the East had just begun and was still limited mainly to the young. There was obviously a religious awakening beginning in America, and just as obviously it was leading many people not toward, but away from the established spiritual institutions of the West. I wanted to know what Christians and Jews were thinking about this, and how they were going to respond. Meeting with bishops, priests, ministers, and rabbis across America and in Europe, I soon became aware that a great deal of soul-searching was going on, and not only in reaction to the unconventional religiosity of the young. I began to suspect that the new religions were not the only sign that a new life was being breathed into the dying spiritual practices of our culture. I wondered, was there perhaps a secret fermentation going on as well within the seeming confusion of the old religions? Certainly the hunger of those who wished to remain within the fold of Christianity was often as intense as, sometimes even more so than, the motivation of many people turning to the religions of the Orient. In fact, of all the experiences I had while researching the material for my book on the new religions, none has remained more firmly in my memory than my meeting with a certain bishop. We had been talking for several hours about the attractions of the Eastern religions. Toward the end of the interview, coffee and sandwiches were brought in, and I put away my notebook. Conversation became informal and unguarded. I mentioned to him that in my own academic work as a professor of philosophy and religion, I had begun to perceive things in the Bible that I had never dreamed were there. I was beginning to understand that everything I had seen in the Eastern teachings was also contained in Judaism and Christianity, although the language of the Bible was practically impossible to penetrate because it had become so encrusted with familiar associations. At that, he quickly nodded in agreement with a sort of knowingness that somehow made me uncomfortable. For the next few minutes, I couldn't believe I was speaking with the same man.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?